Okay. The recording is going. I almost forgot to do that. So now everyone will be able to kind of hear our conversation and go back on this webinar if they weren't able to call in today and hear Jenny's presentation, which is actually on YouTube. But we can have a little bit of conversation about building your breastfeeding community in general too. So I think that we talked about this a little bit last time, Linda, at the scholar support meeting at Frugal, just kind of about what I was going to ask what your short-term goal would be and your long-term goal. If you want to introduce yourself and touch on those, I think that'd be great to start.
Well, for the recording, this is Linda Brennan. I'm one of the volunteers in Breastfeeding Peer Councils at the Boston Children's Museum. So far, my current goal is to help moms in their breastfeeding journey, and I'm very happy to say that one of my friends is pregnant and plans on breastfeeding and wants me to help her out. So, but my long-term goal is pretty much the same, is to help moms. I don't know if I'll ever get to the IBCLC status. It'd be cool if I could, but, you know, take things one day at a time. Can't really plan for the future without looking at today first.
I totally agree. Is there anything that you are nervous or excited about for accomplishing these goals?
Well, the toddler next to me is one of my things.
Yeah.
And right now she is trying to play with everything.
Okay. Well, there you go. There she is.
Rain saying hi.
And then for the Children's Museum site, how do you feel that you guys have kind of built a community so far there at that support group? How long have you been there? And then maybe answer that.
I've been the peer counselor there since March of last year.
Okay.
But I started going as a mom as October of 2016.
Okay.
We are attempting, we're building a great community with the organizers there, with Casey and with Alicia, who runs the block party once a month. Mm-hmm. And we are trying to get moms in. It's kind of hard because we are actually inside the museum, and there is a fee to get inside the museum. Luckily, if people know about the EBT discount, which is if they have an EBT card and lets the people at the admission counter know that they're there for the breastfeeding meeting on Thursday mornings, they can get in for free. But it's not advertised well enough so people don't know about it, except for people I know who I've told.
Right.
But we also have a agreement with the Children's Museum that if people want to go and let us know ahead of time, we can attempt to get them on a guest list.
Okay.
But we don't have that many people who do it. Although I do have a returning mom coming this week, which I'm really excited about.
That's so great.
She's actually about to have her second baby.
Awesome. That's awesome. I do want to highlight what you said about working with the block party. I think that's been a huge success and awesome leadership on your part.
Because of the fact that we have the meeting inside the museum, they want to help us promote the meeting. Mm-hmm. So they're actually excited about having us.
Yes, and I think that is something that other groups can definitely learn from, that sometimes it takes some collaboration with the site hosts or other organizers who are doing outreach to families that are using that space regularly and finding those opportunities and being present, because like you said, it's kind of those word of mouth invitations and recommendations that get the moms that you know into the group a little bit more.
One of the conflicts we do have is that it is during the day, which means about 75 to 80% of the caregivers in the play space where we're at are nannies.
Right.
So I do see moms who are breastfeeding, but they're usually there with a second or third kid. But, you know, I do go up and congratulate them. You know, try to get the word out that we're there.
Right, right. And of course, being friendly and open that's a great asset to have when you're building your breastfeeding community too. So that's good too. I think that the Children's Museum is maybe a unique site of our breastfeeding support groups, but it also goes to show that you can kind of build community in any setting, really.
Oh, we're doing our best.
For sure. Thank you so much, Linda. So now I think, unless you have anything else that you want to add, then we might just start. I might start playing the presentation. It gets into the nitty gritties of IBCLC pathways, if that sounds good.
That's good.
If you don't mind putting yourself back on mute, I think that would be best.
So, again, so many of you that are here and that are listening to this have started the course of becoming either CLCs, taking the courses, you're lined up to take the CLE course. And I just want to talk to you guys about, as you settle into this, to consider moving forward to become an international board certified lactation consultant. So, sorry. So I wanted just to go through briefly what's involved in becoming an IBCLC. So essentially all the requirements that we're going to go through are to actually enable you to take this exam. And it's an exam that does require a lot of knowledge and a lot of study and actually experience with helping breastfeeding moms specifically, because it really helps to be able to have seen breastfeeding moms to actually see the reality of what it's like to take this exam. So the International Board of Certified Lactation Examiners, the IBCLE, is the certifying administration, and they have lined up 3 pathways to become that an IBCLC. Melody has, when I mentioned this to Melody, she thought that only nurses could be IBCLCs, and in fact, one of the pathways is more specifically geared towards healthcare providers, people who've already gone through that program, but there are other pathways for people who are not already healthcare providers. So these are the 3 areas of criteria that have to be met. There's the health science courses, which are college-level courses, and a few things like CPR and can't remember what the other ones are, but they're not specifically through a university, but about 8 or 10 of them do require being taken through a college. That's why nurses do this a lot because we've already met this criteria, and most other healthcare providers like physical therapists, doctors, dentists have all taken these courses. Then there's a requirement for lactation-specific courses, and then there's so many hours of clinical practice with breastfeeding families. So pathway 1 is the one that this is the one that I went through as an RN. I really feel, in retrospect, that I had the easy way because I was an OBGYN nurse. I was on the postpartum floor, so all I really had to do was take the test. But I hope to. But I want to note that this pathway also supports mother support counselors, which some of you are. So recognized health professionals, just real quickly, have already met the 14 health science courses, and then 10 of those are the college level ones. They've had at least 1,000 hours of lactation-specific counseling with moms and babies or families, or even breastfeeding families, and this can be through a lot of ways. And then there's 90 hours of lactation courses, which can be taken online. They're done at conferences. Those of you who've taken the CLC course have already met 45 of these 90. And I think the CLE course will actually add more to that. I'm not positive, but we're not sure. So anyway, that's something that I would love to talk to anybody about what you've already met. So mother support counselors mother support counselors are WIC peer counselors, and the other ways that people do the mother support there's a number of other organizations that I'll show in a second. But mother support counselors will need to complete these health science courses, which some of you may have already done, and then the lactation and the 90 hours of lactation. This is the list of the courses. So if any of you who have a college degree that may have taken some of these courses, no matter how long ago it was, they qualify. There's no time limit. Okay. And so these are basic life support, medical documentation, medical terminology. Those are not college level courses. Occupational safety, professional ethics. So this last are things that you don't have to go to a university for, but you still they can obviously still cost money to take these courses.
Basic life support CPR?
Yeah, that's basically CPR. So mother support counselors, again, would need to report that 1,000 hours of clinical lactation. So I want you to know that in-person, group, or individual breastfeeding support receives 500 hours for each full year of volunteer service. If it's primarily by telephone, which I think a lot of the peer counselors are, it's 250 hours. So that would take, you can see that could take 4 years starting from now, but I know we have some of our scholars are already with peer counselors, so I'm hoping we can get you through that.
Sorry, how do they quantify that? How does
I think it says that you've worked there for a year, and but again, I have to research that more for anybody who is. But it's one of the things that if someone is a WIC peer counselor, is interested in this, we can start to figure out how your already ongoing support will factor into this too. Yes, Zoe has a question.
I know at our BMC Baby Cafe, one of the things I've seen Sheila Lewis do, who's an IBCLC, is sign off on other people's hours.
Yes.
So she will sort of certify, yes, this person volunteered for that time period.
Yes.
So I think maybe.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping we can do with our network of groups, for the groups that do have an IBCLC, like myself or Sheila, and I don't think it's an IBCLC itself, but anyway, we can coordinate with getting everybody to get hours through our breastfeeding support groups too. And I think well, actually, let me go on now. Talk about that some more. So these are the recognized mother support organizations. So WIC, as you can see, Baby Cafe USA, Baby Cafe has what's called a BCBC, which is a Baby Cafe Breastfeeding Counselor. So that's one way we might be able to do it. Chocolate Milk Cafe is a wonderful organization in Kansas City, and it's, their goal is actually to provide specifically support for African American moms, provide them a safe space to meet with other moms and get specific breastfeeding support. The Nursing Mothers Council, the Boston area Childbirth Education, they are also certified. I also just want to point out Breastfeeding USA might be another adjunct that we can help everybody get some time, because you can become a breastfeeding volunteer online through Breastfeeding USA. So that would be another way we might be able to work with some of our scholars. So the Mother Support Counselor must provide, these organizations must provide a structured lactation training program, which I hope through our coalition we can provide. We have to develop a code of ethics, and again, provide the structured supervision with an IBCLC, and find ways to support you in getting the continuing education programs. So the second pathway is, again, completion of these health science courses, but there are several university programs where you can actually do all of this. You can take the health science courses, you get the lactation education, and they help you to get that clinical practice in lactation support and care. These are the organizations that provide that. The one that I know a number of people have used too is Union Institute and University, and the University of California, San Diego. A big thing with these is they cost thousands of dollars. I think the cost comes to $5,000 or more, but it is kind of a one-stop shopping. It's like enrolling in college. You do it online, and except for the clinical experience, and you get a degree as an IBCLC too. So this is just for more information. This is becoming an IBCLC. You can look at the International Board of Lactation Consultant Examiners website, where they talk about these in even more detail. But I was hoping to kind of break this down to you guys a little more clearly, because I found it overwhelming when I tried to figure it out myself. So there's Pathway 3, which is essentially a program developed with an IBCLC will mentor you and be under their direct supervision to become an IBCLC. So working with this IBCLC, we would submit a plan, develop a plan for getting someone through this program. So that's basically just an individual pathway, and one of the pathways we can also look at. So again, same requirements. But I think it's nice to note that they only require 500 directly supervised clinical hours within 5 years. So somehow that just sounds a lot more doable than that 1,000 hours. That it's just these hours are daunting, as well as the health science courses too. So I just wanted to talk about. I think this is a focus I'm hoping we can take as a breastfeeding coalition to work together to provide the clinical experience, to provide the mentoring, to provide the support for anyone who wants to follow this. I can't tell you again how much, I know this isn't all of you. This is from the CLC course, but I love this picture because I can't believe how much you all inspire me. The talent in this group is just astounding. And I just want to, again, discuss the challenges, the amount of time. I know you all have families, you have work, you have jobs, you have husbands or partners, all kinds of people asking for your time, and this is a lot of time. The health science courses, even not thinking of the time it takes to take a course and study and pass the test, but literally the money it costs to take them. Cultural and language challenges that I think we have bumped up against even with the CLC course, and just finding ways to provide you all with mentoring opportunities. The hospital mentorship is really difficult. It's very difficult to get non-RN, non-healthcare provider mentors, people into a hospital to see patients. I can tell you that this all sort of started a little bit when Bertil Silvestri and I were hired to open up the Baby Cafe at Common Square by Boston Medical Center. That grant came from a lactation consultant who was not an RN, who was allowed to get her clinical experience on the floor. She was the last one. Now, granted, she's done a wonderful thing by donating this money. She got this going, and then we were connected with Vital Village, and then it just exploded from there. But we are very grateful for that, but I wish we could find a way to talk the hospital into taking it, but I don't know. I work at Mount Auburn Hospital, and they're really resistant to even mentoring another RN, much less I'm not. And so funding, I think, is really important to find a way to do this. So I want to mention other mentoring programs that are out there. WIC has had a mentoring program. The Black Mothers Breastfeeding Association and Mother Nurture Lactation College in Detroit has actually set up this where you can get the college-level courses as well as get the in-hospital breastfeeding experience. I think I need to go to Detroit to find out how they do it. All I can find out online, it looks like it's still even hard for them because it only looks like about 2 or 3 people have actually gone through the course, and it was funded by the Kellogg Foundation in 2014. So clearly there's still a work in progress about this. And the Chocolate Milk Cafe, if you go to, I believe these are hyperlinks. Let me just show you this. Hope I can get back. So the Chocolate Milk Cafe. Oh, yeah, pausing screen sharing. Oh shoot! You can fix this. Maybe I don't want to do that. Never mind. Oh yeah, here it is. I don't know if you guys can see this, but just this is what it looks like. If you Google Zombie Village, let's not do that anymore. Thank you. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Check these out. I think you could just Google Chocolate Milk Cafe and you can look at what their mentoring program is too. And that actually, they do charge $5,000 to go through it. So again, everybody, there's no free lunch here. But I have hope, I have ideas. And Breastfeeding USA also. So check them out too. There might be something there that you may be. So just some thoughts from the field that I think I've seen in some of the research I've done. And this first one again is, I think, so critical for me in some of the work I do. I just really hope to find or support our African American community, women in our African American community, support more of us and to get more training. And just talking about how hard it is to juggle all of this. And I believe a number of people do start this, but it's a long, long process. This is, other people are actually doing this work, and as you can see, even there's people up in Washington, D.C. who understand that we need stronger community support and more generous scholarships for African American women. And health problems are systemic problems, and they require systemic solutions. And specifically, we need these partnerships and collaborations to expand not only the things that are happening in Detroit and Kansas City, but across the entire nation. And there's work being done in Alabama, in Atlanta. There's some wonderful work, as you guys have met with the Rose program. They do incredible work too. So I might come back to this. Let me just go a little bit further. These are all the resources. I hope you can. I think you can access this in the emails that Zoe sent out. I would definitely check out. These are great.
Okay, so that is pretty much the bulk of what we were going to go over. You can see the screen of resources. I believe we can send those links out because they definitely are still relevant. But I think that's pretty much everything that we wanted to go over from Jenny's presentation. Again, that's from July of last year, 2017, and it is available on YouTube. If you can see what's the big deal about breastfeeding, Jenny Weaver, IBCLC, then you can go back and reference this webinar that she put up anytime and go through some of the questions that some of the people that attended last year asked. If you have more questions about becoming an IBCLC and what that takes. And the beginning part that we kind of skipped over was just a review of kind of benefits of breastfeeding that I think a lot of people have heard many times at this point for our scholars anyway. But I did want to take some time to try to open the floor to gather any questions that we might have about the presentation or that we might want to ask Jenny. So I don't know, Linda, if you want to ask any questions or if you have any comments about what we just watched.
Hold on. This is my first time using GoToMeeting, so please bear with me.
Oh, no problem at all. It is definitely a learning experience.
I'm learning that I don't have to go through 3 different screens to unmute myself. No, that was pretty informative. And, you know, it's great that she had the links to things, and especially that last one with the resources. I know Kelly Mom is usually the most referenced of them all.
Right.
Please bear with me. I also have a toddler who's being antsy. But no, it was pretty straightforward. It's good to know, you know, what the requirements is for each level, especially to get to the IBCLC status.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I know that you have attended the Baby Cafe with Lucia Jenkins, and that she's talked a little bit before about the BC path that they have for their version of counselors. Did you want to share anything about Baby Cafe maybe?
Baby Cafe has to be one of the greatest things I ever found. You know, I didn't find Baby Cafe until Rain was 13 weeks. But, you know, I luckily did get, you know, pretty much my tutelage under Lucia, who, you know, if people don't know, is the woman who founded Baby Cafe USA. That woman is full of such knowledge and is so enthusiastic about breastfeeding and sharing the knowledge she has with everyone. It's a very, very helpful resource for anyone who's planning on breastfeeding and has started breastfeeding and has issues or questions, or in my case, when I originally started going just to get out of the house. But even though it was originally for me to get out of the house and meet other moms, it then actually helped me with anything that came up, which is now very helpful with me trying to help other moms.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. Like attending groups, not even as a counselor, you can learn a lot.
Yes.
And it's amazing that you're right. We have such great resources in Boston and the greater area in general, and people that are like willing to help and mentor as much as they are able to, for people that are interested, like Lucia and like Jenny. So it's amazing that the founder of Baby Cafe, like you can attend a baby cafe that she would be at, and like you said,
she was so excited when I told her I was taking the original Rose training, and then when I got my certificate, you know, she has a photocopy of it, you know, a copy of it, proudly posted on the Melrose Baby Cafe bulletin board.
Yes, amazing.
She was very, very excited that I did this, and she's really happy that I'm taking what experience I have and going forward with it.
Yeah, and I think that it speaks to her, or like her having this organization. Like she wants more support out in the communities. So of course she'd be excited for you, and also starting up the Baby Cafe breastfeeding counselor path, which we can send out a link for more information on that one too.
Yeah, sorry, Rain's getting
No problem. Totally.
Well, she's more upset by the fact that I'm keeping the screen away from her.
She just wants to learn about breastfeeding too. She already knows it all, but.
Well, I'm actually with headphones, so she can't hear any of this except me talking.
Okay.
But she's trying to play with the screen, and I'm trying not to get her to do things that, you know, like try to take me out of this call. Sure. I do apologize for the screeching.
I'm sure anyone who listens will definitely understand. Not a problem. And I know for other mentorship opportunities, like Jenny said, it's challenging to get into the clinical setting and get into the hospitals, but that's something that we're hoping to kind of tackle a little bit more in the upcoming months, and having more discussions about ways we can support people who are.
That's been like the number one thing that I was hoping would come about since I became a breastfeeding peer counselor last year.
Right.
Was, you know, it's great to have support groups out there, but it's the number one thing that we should do is try to get into things like pediatricians' offices, or the biggest one is OBGYN offices. Because from my own experience, when I was pregnant, you know, my OB asked me, like, do you plan on breastfeeding or bottle feeding? I went breastfeeding. She went, okay, that's cool, and that was the entire conversation I had.
Right. Yeah.
There's no more conversation beyond that, and there really needs to be for more support, because if you're going it alone, which is what I originally did, how are you supposed to be able to know what you're in for, or at least know what to do, if you're getting no help from the beginning?
Yeah, that's a great point. And moms are definitely going to the pediatricians and their OB appointments, and you know that they'll be there and they want that information, but you can't guarantee that they'll come to the community support groups as like an optional thing. So you're right, that support does need to be expanded and more reliable, because there are IBCs oftentimes available, but the doctor might not, call them in to do a consult or something like that. And I know something that Jenny is excited about is the possibility of getting people in as, it's kind of like when you go through a nursing path, you have like someone who basically mentors you, but they're your clinical teacher essentially, and she's hoping to start something up at Codman like that, where she would her and the IBCLCs would be like the proctor, the clinic person that's teaching prospective IBCLCs, and that would take a lot of the load off of other nurses who are having to do this counseling on top of all the other work that they have to do when there are people who are wanting to provide this support anyway and just don't have the access to do so. So we're definitely hoping to get further along on that goal soon. And Codman might be the first place for that. We might be having some trailblazing going on, so we'll see how it goes.
No, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said, like you said, Linda, I think this is true for a lot of people, the IBCLC pathways can seem really overwhelming, and it's just easier to take it like one day at a time, like you said. And I know coming up soon in the summer, we're gonna be starting to get ready to advertise offering the CLC course, which would be a good middle step between going from peer counselor, Rose, community transformer, or CLE, whatever we've had before, between that and the IBCLC route, doing something like CLC can increase the chances for success on an IBCLC pathway, create more opportunities to get in clinical hours or become WIC peer counselors or things like that. So we also hope that that can be a supportive route to go.
I do plan on applying again this year.
Yes.
I did not make it in last year, so I'm hoping that I make it in this year.
Yes, and we're hoping that we can have a bunch of scholarships on our end, of course. There is one question that I wanted to ask too, and just wondering if there's any group of people or person that you'd be interested in kind of connecting with in building the community. If there's anyone that you thought of, if that question even makes sense, like who would it be if you could add someone to your breastfeeding community?
Right now it's friends.
Yeah.
Because, like I said earlier, I do have a friend who just announced she was pregnant recently, and the first thing I asked her is she was planning on breastfeeding, and then I'm a breastfeeding peer counselor. She went, "Yes, I plan on breastfeeding. We need to talk." So it's starting at by word of mouth, and hopefully growing to be something bigger.
Yes, I think that's a great.
Yeah, I've already told her that there are breastfeeding support groups around, and that I would want her to come around with me to do, and she's like, yes. So it's a start.
Yeah, that's awesome, and you make a great point too that we have all of these different groups, and by bouncing around and going to a few, that's a great way to build your breastfeeding community because they're all in different places, meeting different counselors and seeing different moms from the different communities that you go to, wherever it is in Malden or at the Children's Museum or when you were going in East Boston. It's a great way to meet other people that have similar interests.
Well, that's also a great way, a great thing about getting people to come to baby cafes and support groups while people are pregnant, because that way they can ask questions ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if if they just want to sit there and listen to hear what other parents are going through, and to at least prepare themselves what they could possibly could go through in the future, it's really good for them to start early than wait until after. And what if they don't know about support groups and all of a sudden have plugged ducts or mastitis and don't know what to do? Sometimes that's discouraging, and they end up stopping their journey. So it's good to get them to know what they're in for early, even if it doesn't happen, but at least the knowledge of this is normal, and there are ways to continue breastfeeding with these trials and tribulations.
Yeah, and it can be overwhelming, like you said, once you're at those crisis points of having mastitis or something like that. It can be an overwhelming time to be trying to get support for the first time or get education for the first time. So that's definitely a great point.
If I start laughing, I'm really sorry. My daughter likes to put on my slippers on her legs.
No problem. Okay, let's see. I think that that's pretty much a lot of that's the bulk of like the questions and the things that I wanted to get down. One thing that we were hoping to share from a couple of the other counselors who were going to call in, but things had come up for them, was from the group in Mattapan. They were the first group that started all of our groups around the city, and they partnered with ABCD to do a play group with their breastfeeding support. So Jenny goes, and then we have some of our volunteers, and they have they've been having really good turnouts with moms and getting families in, and we think it's kind of might be that partnership with the play group, and they have a great structure there where they do like circle time, and they have organized, they sing songs. So even for moms that might not initially have questions about breastfeeding, they're interested in bringing their babies or their children there to do the play group and have that educational time. And then if they do have a question, or if someone asks them, oh, how's it going with feedings and things like that, then the support is there. And I think that might be a little bit similar to how the Children's Museum is, because people are coming there, for the playtime and the education. And
I was actually just going to say that's pretty much what we are. We're a big play group.
Mm-hmm. With a lot bigger toys.
Yes. And the great thing about the play space at the Children's Museum is that it's all educational, pretty much. It's all to help development. Mm-hmm. They have a section just for crawlers and, infants and crawlers, which, when Rain was younger and we had a few more moms of my friends who would come, we would all pretty much have a meeting in there.
Right.
Because it was a nice big padded area with, they have, for crawlers, they have big steps and little obstacles to get over that are geared for that level of education, as well as toys and stuff for them to play with. And as they grow out of the crawling stage and into the walking, there's they have jigsaw puzzles and blocks that they can use to use, and they have like a play kitchen that Rain absolutely adores. But they also have, this big, almost, I guess you could call it a ship that helps them learn how to climb. Mm-hmm. And every time I'm in there, there's something new. Like they have this new ball area that they can use for, put balls into tubes. They have a couple that if you put enough balls, it opens up the bottom. And it's another that has a pull slide that if it's closed, all the balls start piling up, and you have to open it to let them all go down. So they're consistently putting new things to help develop children. Mm-hmm. So it's great to have our group in that section, because then not only are we able to help parents, but we can also help the children grow and learn.
Yeah, I think that is a really important piece for drawing people into the community and being able to offer them things in addition to the support and the social support, but having those extras is beneficial for everyone, especially the kids. So, and then if you do get pregnant moms in the space and they see all that you have to offer for after the baby comes, and they might want to bring them back when they're ready to play with all of that and do the early childhood development stuff. So it's a great point.
It's definitely good for, especially with the Children's Museum, for pregnant moms to come in to see what's at the Children's Museum to help their children and also for us to help them at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And another. Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely think that having those hand in hand is a great resource.
Me too. I think that you guys are great with having that, and then Mattapan, they bring a lot into the library. They're at the Mattapan Library on Blue Hill Ave, and they bring a lot of things, and then they use a lot of the kid stuff from the library section for kiddos. So they have a lot to offer, and I think that a couple of the other groups could benefit from modeling that as well. So anyone's listening in and you need support with that, let me know. And another part of building our breastfeeding community that you've been so great at, Linda, that I'm glad you called in to just touch on, because we'll be talking about it more soon at our upcoming network connection meeting, but is building your online community and using things like social media to expand your breastfeeding community to a greater audience than you get to see on the day-to-day.
Yeah, I try to do my best with my little Facebook group, which is the Boston Children's Museum drop-in breastfeeding /caregiver group. Or I'm probably saying that completely wrong. I can never remember what I actually called it.
Yeah.
But it pretty much has those words, but maybe not in that order. But I find a lot of great articles and images about breastfeeding, and in some cases other parts of parenting. Like I found an image about when exactly teeth come in at certain times and what order they come in.
I think I can pull it up while you talk about it, just so people can see.
But I also find, funny things just to break the monotony of, like the other day I found an image of, a kid's breastfeeding when you see a baby trying to root onto a torso of a mannequin in the lingerie department.
Yes, I did see that.
So there's things like that. Like I just posted this morning a great article about a female hockey player in Canada who during a break started breastfeeding her 8-week-old. So there are things like that I try to put in there. Oh, there it is, the Boston Children's Museum drop-in breastfeeding. Oh, I almost did have it correct. There's an article.
You don't have to know the words.
But I try to, even though I'm not, occasionally I'll say, here, our group's coming up, but I try to at least get the resources out there for different articles to help with things that are breastfeeding related. Oh yeah, there's that image about the.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's the greatest thing that there is right there, that picture. Yeah. But then there's, breastfeeding for just 2 months dramatically reduces SIDS.
Yeah, so it's educational, but it's also like fun for people, to see the other posts. It's like a good mix, I think, of resources and keeping a presence. Seeing you post probably can itself, just the post, remind people that you're going to be in this space soon.
And there's one that's encouraging.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like I try to bring everything into that group.
Yeah.
As I can.
I think it's a great way to, when we're talking about community, it's so hard, like you said, some moms want to get out of the house and go to groups, but some moms have a hard time getting out of the house. So this is a way that they can be reached, and hopefully they would feel like they could use this as a place for resources, and also like to reach out if they needed to.
Yeah.
And we have groups for our scholars to also share resources or events or learning opportunities too. I'll try and just go to that one really quick. So we have, it's when we're talking about building our breastfeeding community, it's building the community of moms that are coming to the groups and having new counselors start up or connecting with the partners at the sites. And it's also building a stronger community of our scholars here with Vital Village, and allowing people to kind of network and find support in each other. So this is our coalition group that has more people. Linda, I'll email you about this post later. And then the scholars group is also another group that's closed, where we advertise things in here, but people are open to post on it more and do community that way more remotely if it's easier than making it out to the scholar support meetings in person. So this is, I guess this would be the second time since Jenny did that first webinar that we've tried to do things a little bit more virtually, just so that we can still offer things when things come up, you know? So,
No, this is a good thing because, first of all, I hope Jenny feels better.
Yes, me too.
And, this is a great way to still be able to have these conversations and still have these learning seminars in order for us to still be able to do what we're doing.
Right. And I think it would be great if we can offer, we've been trying out these scholar support meetings. This would be our third month. We had a couple of weird weather cancellations and things like that, but we love our space at Frugal Bookstore and being able to meet in person and in the evenings. I think that works well for a lot of people. I know, Linda, that you've participated in those, but I think for offering things during the day like this, doing the online version is a little bit easier because we can record it and they can be accessed on anyone's free time. So
I agree.
Thank you, Linda.
It's also nice to have the venues, like, Grove, the library where this meeting would originally have taken place, because moms like me like to get out of the house. Yes.
Yeah. So having both is definitely what we're thinking will be the way to go moving forward in the future. And are there any topics, Linda, that you're thinking might be interesting to do more of the scholar support meetings, the seminars, or continued education? Not to put you on the spot too much, but if you have any ideas of things that you'd want Jenny to kind of cover, or another topic that we could talk about as a group.
Yeah, putting me on the spot makes my mind go blank.
I know, and that's open to everyone always, to just, you think of something, you can literally send me a text or an email or post it in the Facebook group and be like, I want to learn more about blah, blah, and like that's helpful for Jenny, because I think that she can often forget. She's told me before, like what people want to know, because she's been doing it for so long. So that's just an open invitation.
Good to know.
And I think the last thing I wanted to make sure I covered today is the lending library that we've partnered with Massachusetts Lactation Consultant Association on. And that is for people who are trying to further their education from textbooks and trying to study for upcoming examinations or trying to do more certifications or what have you. I pulled up the instructions here somewhere. that I believe we've sent these out in an email, but just to kind of review and recap and make sure that everyone knows that this is an available option to people, and it's a free option, and it's a really great thing to take advantage of if it's if something that you're looking for. I definitely wouldn't say it's for like light reading. It's there are a lot of text.
First of all, I want to say that Amy is such a great person, and
Yes.
she showed up to one of the scholar meetings with a bunch of books, and yeah, this is not light reading. We're talking textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't tell from that picture just how big those books are.
Yes.
They're a couple inches thick.
Right.
This is a great resource, for especially this, the last CLE meeting training. A lot of the people who I know from those groups were kind of excited that there was these resources for them to able to actually have access to these books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
it can be hundreds of dollars.
Exactly, it's good to have the access to this material. And again, I apologize for the toddler playing in the background.
No problem.
But yeah, it's good to have this resource, and it's great that Amy is able to bring this resource to the public and to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's very responsive, and if you just see the email on the screen, she'll find a way to bring you the book. She's a great person and a great resource, like you said. And she sends me regularly when they get updates of more books in their library to offer. And some of these it would be actually like a memoir might be an easier read than some of the textbooks and the journals here. But it is definitely something that we're happy to be in partnership with them and to offer. So there's that information as a reminder. Maybe I'll have a little resource sheet in addition to sending out the link to this webinar at the end of the day today, hopefully, with all of these different ways that people can get resources for their next steps and their pathways for maybe doing lactation as a career, or ways to build more community, and maybe steps on how to start a Facebook group for their group if they want.
I highly recommend doing that, actually, because even though people can't always get out to the groups, at least there's a way of getting the information out to them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we just had another person join on. I think I see Dominique. If you're there, you might be on mute if you want to say hi.
Yeah, it starts you off muted.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hello, fam.
Hi,
Hey,
Dominique,
Dominique.
for calling in.
Thank you for having us.
So I will let you know that we are recording, just so that you know in advance. But if you feel comfortable introducing yourself, it would be great to have you on the record.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dominique Bellegarde. I am a woman of the community focusing on empowering women through breastfeeding.
Awesome. So just to catch you up a little bit on what we've gone through, it's just me, Rachel here, and Linda so far. And we have been talking about, as you know, building your breastfeeding community. And we've done that in a couple of different ways. We've talked about building the community at your support groups, like getting more moms in and building the community that way. We've talked about pathways to IBCLC. We watched Jenny's presentation from last year on those different pathways. I'll pull it up on the screen. So connecting with other IBCLCs, other peer counselors, and building your community that way. And then we were recently talking about how to build your community online and kind of reaching a bigger audience that way. breastfeeding community-wise and getting more resources out there and places of encouragement and safe spaces for moms and counselors alike. So, Dominique, I don't know if you had any questions or things you wanted to share. I know that you have been working with Jenny quite a bit at the group, and if you just wanted to share anything in any of those regards.
No, I mean, the biggest thank you is Vital Village, trusting and believing in us and just kind of seeing our vision and having a great team to help us to reach out to the community. I don't know, it just uplifts me more to want to continue doing that. And the fact that we want to do online, I think that's awesome. So pretty much I'm here to support and listen in and see anything that's new that I can also help and to promote and continue improving the program.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. So I might ask you one question that I asked Linda at the beginning, because this is something that I'm curious about. If there could be one person that you could add to your breastfeeding community or one group of people, who would it be?
Let's see, someone with lots of money that have nothing to do with it, want to give it away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wow, that is a really good question.
Thank you. I think though funding, actually that's a really important and good answer, because if you have talked to Jenny like in the past year, anyone would know that she has very lofty goals for the peer counselors, and we are trying our best to support those goals the best ways we can. But it is coming down to getting a little bit more funding to do a little bit more in-depth programming. So that's someone that I'd love to add to our breastfeeding community too, would be someone with some deep pockets and also belief in our mission. So hopefully we'll be able to make those connections or do something that way too. That's a good answer. And then something I did also ask Linda in the beginning, Dominique, was, I know that we talked about this in our last scholar support meeting a little bit, but it was just kind of touching based on what your short-term goals are and what your long-term goals are in your breastfeeding work. Dominique, are you still there? I think that she might have lost her connection for a minute, but she can answer it if she joins back. But I think other than that, that's kind of all that I have planned for us. There's definitely some interesting resources that I hope to explore, and when we send those out, that might be the next phase of the conversation, is how to utilize some of those resources, and then asking Jenny any further questions about IBCLC questions that people might have. So definitely you'll all receive an email from me following up with those things. And I agree with Linda. Hopefully Jenny feels better soon and we can get our scholar support meetings back running up in person. Does anyone have any last minute thoughts or wrapping up for the meeting today?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like we're ending a little bit early, but that's all right with me.
Well, I mean, there's only pretty much you and me. Yeah, if there was more of us.
No problem, Dominique. I was just telling Linda that I've kind of covered most of the things that I had today, since her and I were mostly having a conversation, those conversations that I mentioned to you, but we might be ending a little bit early today. The internet connection.
Is to I guess it could be short and I guess long-term goals to take classes to complete the requirements, the course. Yeah, take courses to complete the requirements for IBCLC, or go get a degree and not have to do all the extra steps.
Mm-hmm.
My short-term goal would be to complete all the courses I have started that would help me to increase my knowledge of breastfeeding and being an educator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, get more people involved in breastfeeding and just promote it more. But yeah, that's yeah.
And then what makes you most nervous and or most excited about those goals?
Did we lose her again?
I don't know. It says that she's online with us. We might have lost her again, unfortunately.
It was, I did not expect this turnout, but it was great.
Yeah, that's so great. Last night at Baby Cafe, did you have any other volunteers with you?
No, but they would have had a great time. I mean, everyone needed some form of support, and they received it, and it was just really good. Everyone chimed in with their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, it went well. And you can let Jenny know, and she'll be so proud of you. So I think what I was asking right before
Yes.
we lost you, Dominique, is
Oh yeah.